Hey guys, it's me again. We're not going to do this warm-up on this top part because you literally just did a warm-up on it and you just took a mastery quiz on it. So hopefully we've got this warm-up down. Let's go down here. What we're doing today, we are doing another method to solve quadratic equations. Why in the world are we learning this? You ask, well, because there's more than one way to solve a quadratic equation. We've graphed it, okay? We skipped number 2, and we went to number 4, actually, and we did the square root method, where we solved by that. Today, we're going to jump back to method number 2 and solve by factoring. Guys, you know how to do this already, okay? You factored since Algebra 1. You just took a quiz on factoring. You are good to go on this. Piece of cake, it should be. But there's a couple things I got to show you. So the first thing here, with this, what we have is called the zero product property, okay? Meaning, in basic terms, is anything times 0 equals 0, okay? So what that means, okay, if A times B equals 0, then A can equal 0, or B can equal 0, okay? So when you look up at the top, okay, we had some problems that we ended up factoring. The only difference is we're adding an equal sign to this. Once we factored them, they looked like this problem number 1 down here, for example 1, where I ask you guys to use solve it using the zero product rule, in which each of these sets of parentheses equals 0. You ready for this? Easiest thing ever. We're going to take each one, 2x plus 3 equals 0. Set each one of them equal to 0, and x minus 4 equals 0. Now, solve. Minus 3 on both sides. 2x equals negative 3. Divide by 2. I'm going to write this above. X equals negative 3 over 2. And then over here, all you got to do is add 4 on both sides. And we get that x equals 4. So we would say that there's 2 answers. Negative 3 over 2 and positive 4. Do not put your answers in parentheses. Put them in squiggles, please. On part B here, we've got 3x minus 5 and x minus 2 equals 0. Break them apart. 3x minus 5 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. Solve each of those equations individually for x, and we get that x equals positive 5 over 3, and over here x equals positive 2. If I were to write my answers, we've got 5 over 3, comma, 2. Okay, let's go down. You can also use factoring to solve certain quadratic equations, okay? We talked about this the other day on the graph. When the graph crosses the x-axis, those are what we call our solutions to the equation, okay? And the other day, we called those our roots or the zeros. Roots or zeros. A quadratic equation in one variable it needs to be written in standard form. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. A, b, and c are your numbers. It must, absolutely must equal 0. Okay? So here, we're going to start with A. Let's go ahead and solve this. This is just like the problems on the other one. Each one of these we have to break apart. 7 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0, and 2x minus 5 equals 0. Now, can 7 equal 0? No. Cross it off, that one won't work. Okay? That's not anything you guys have to worry about. Look at the next part. Solve the x plus 3, and we get that x equals negative 3. Over here, add 5, then divide by 2, and we get that x equals 5 over 2. Your two solutions, your two roots, your two zeros, where the graph crosses the x-axis is going to be at negative 3 and positive 5 over 2. Now on part B here, look at this. Break each part apart, and we get that 8x equals 0 and 3x minus 5 equals 0. Divide by 8, and we get that x equals 0. And over here, add 5, then divide by 3, and x equals positive 5 over 3. Now, unfortunately, if you guys remember, look back at the problems that I gave you the other day, our problems are not always factored for you. When I asked you guys to graph the other day, you guys graphed full quadratics. I didn't factor them. So guess what you have to do now, okay? On these problems, okay, you need to factor them first. This is actually pretty simple. So you're going to factor, multiply the outside, negative 42, drop down your inside, 1. My two numbers are going to be positive 7, negative 6. Divide by a, which is just 1. My two sets of parentheses, x plus 7, x minus 6 equals 0. Break them apart. X plus 7 equals 0. X minus 6 equals 0. When you guys solve, we get negative 7 and positive 6. Okay? We're going to go down to part C. Part C. Multiply the outside, negative 24, drop down the inside, 2. My two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to 2 are going to be positive 6 and negative 4. Now in this case, we have an A term. My A term is 3, so I'm going to divide by 3, divide by 3. Simplify that. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Negative 4 over 3 doesn't simplify. My two sets of parentheses, x plus 2 and 3x minus 4 equals 0. Break them apart. X plus 2 equals 0. 3x minus 4 equals 0. We end up with negative 2 and positive 4 over 3. Okay, we're going to jump down to part E. I'm trying to wrap this video up so you're not watching me forever here. What's wrong with part E? I told you the first rule is that it has to equal 0. So that means we got to take this 3x and move them to the other side. So you should have 2x squared, and then negative 17 minus 3x is going to be negative 20x. Now be careful, this is 45, and we got to do the opposite, so we're going to add 5 to the other side. And so we have plus 50 equals 0. Now, look for a common factor. First thing we can do, we can take out a 2. Now, because this is an equal sign, if we divide on one side, we divide on the other side. And guess what? We don't have to account for that 2 anymore. So we end up with x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 0. Multiply the outside, 25, drop down the inside, negative 10. This is a perfect square, guys. Negative 5 and negative 5. So we end up with x minus 5 squared equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. So x equals positive 5. Okay. Go ahead and pause this video right now. And with that, work out problems B, D, and F for me. Okay, guys, so hopefully you have worked these problems out. Go ahead and check your answers with mine. If you made mistakes, look for where the mistake is. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and pause it while you look through. For B, you should have 12 and -4. For D, you should have 5/2 and -2. And for part F, you should have +4 and -1. I'm going to go ahead and have the sub get you a sheet to practice this, and then you guys do have homework. Hopefully you packed your homework, your book, so that you could work on it if you guys have extra time. If you didn't, then when you're done with the practice, you can check your answers on Canvas and then have time to work on something else as long as you are not bothering anyone. See you guys Friday.